halfway through our weekly sessions. So congrats. I hope that you are making strides towards your weight loss goal or your tracking goal, whatever your goals are. And so today we'll go ahead and get started. We are talking about how to shop and cook healthy for people who are trying to prevent type 2 diabetes. So when you think about shopping for healthy options, or you think about trying to save money when you are going grocery shopping, some of the things that you might want to consider before even thinking about that is, what is your tactic, or how do you approach going grocery shopping? Are you the person who walks into the store and has no idea what they're having for supper, but you just pick things off of the shelf? Are you the person that on your way home from work, you're thinking to yourself, spaghetti sounds good tonight, maybe I'll just run into the store real quick? Or are you the person who has to cook every meal for your family, and so you have a grocery list or you have a meal plan for that week? So there's different approaches to grocery shopping, and some approaches will help you to save money, some of them will help you to choose healthier options, and hopefully some of them will help you to do both of those. So we are going to be talking about grocery shopping today. We're also going to be talking about how to cook healthy options. People often will say that when you cook at home, you're more likely to save money and you're more likely to eat healthier meals. And for the most part, that is a true statement. But if you're not wise with your shopping, or you're not putting any thought to what you're having for your meals, you might end up having about the same quality of food. So today we're going to talk about ways that you can have those healthier options and save money rather than going out to eat. So we're going to do a quick review before we get into that. I want you guys to think to yourself, what are some ways that you know that food is considered a healthy option? So take a second and think through that, and then I'll give you the answer. So when you are going grocery shopping, how to know if something is healthy is think about, is it low in fat? Is it low in sugar? Is it low in calories? So those are three big things. But more than that, we also want to take into consideration, is it going to be high in fiber? So just because your whole grains have more calories than your non-starchy vegetables, your whole grains are also cram-packed with fiber. So that's going to be a better option. So that high fiber, a whole grain, maybe your oatmeal, is a better option than eating your Lucky Charms cereal. It has less sugar, it may have less calories, but it might not, but it has more fiber in it. And then lastly, looking into it as, does it have more vitamins, minerals, and protein? So that would be thinking, is that piece of chocolate that's 60 calories, or that apple a better option that's 60 calories? They both have the same amount of calories in them. They might have the same amount of sugar in them, but the apple has vitamins and minerals, and it also has more fiber in it. So looking at things that just because it has the same amount of calories doesn't mean that it's equal in health and value. So now that we know what items we should be looking for when we go to the grocery store, what is considered healthy, what are the items that we should limit? So it's going to be the exact opposite of what we just said. Is it high in sugar? Is it high in fat? Is it high in calories? Is it processed? Things like that are going to be really what you're going to be looking for. Is it low in fiber? Which one's better, your white bread or your whole wheat bread? Your white noodles or your whole wheat noodles? So thinking in that process, once again, is it low in vitamins, minerals, and protein? So lean protein is going to have less fat in it. So it's going to have less calories in it than your high fatty protein foods. Okay, so now we're going to kind of also go back and think back to when we discussed our plate. My plate, which category takes up half of our plate? So if you were to draw out your my plate, and you have half, then you have a quarter, and then you have another quarter of your plate. What is going to take up that half? It's going to be your non-starchy vegetables, your tomatoes, your carrots, your cucumbers, your broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus. Any of those are going to be your non-starchy vegetables. Then you're going to have 1/4 of your plate is going to be your whole grains, We want half of your grains every day to be whole grains. So that's going to be your oatmeal or anything that says whole, 100% whole wheat or whole grain in front of it. Then lastly, a quarter of your plate is going to be filled with your lean proteins. So it's going to be your chicken, your turkey, maybe it's a lean pork. So like a pork loin that you've cut the fat off of would be considered a lean meat. Your fish would be a great option. Protein also could be your beans or your nuts, peanut butter, anything like that is going to fall into your protein as well. And then remember that we also encourage having dairy 2 to 3 servings a day. So a cup of low-fat or non-fat milk, maybe it's a serving of low-fat cottage cheese, a serving of a mozzarella stick, just the string cheese kind of thing. We also have room on our plate for a piece of fruit on the side, as well as a drink that has 0 calories in it. Preferably water, or unsweet tea, black coffee. Those are great as well. So now we're going to kind of digress back to shopping for healthy foods. When we're shopping for healthy foods, Jerry has, on the participant guide, kind of gone through with his story how his mother goes grocery shopping. And so when we think about going grocery shopping and when we walk into the store with no game plan, it's like walking into school without your lesson plans and teaching your kids without having a lesson plan. Or it's like going to teach a program at work and not knowing what you're doing. So when you go to the grocery store and you don't know what you're doing, you're more likely to choose foods that are going to be faster prep, or you're going to choose foods that might already be prepared for you. So making a game plan. Maybe the first thing you do when you're at home is you get online. Get on Kroger, get on Meijer's websites, and you look at their weekly ads. What is on sale today? So this week at Meijer, they're having their potatoes are on sale, their cauliflower's on sale, tomatoes, pears, cucumbers. They also have mushrooms that are on sale. So what I would do next then is you take a look at all of the produce that's on sale. Take a look at the meats that are on sale. And then base what you're going to be having to eat that week off of what is on sale. So maybe they have strawberries that are on sale and you love strawberries. Buy strawberries that week then, rather than when they're $4.99 a carton. And for meats, when your meats are on sale, you can always go ahead and buy it in bulk and then freeze it. So then it's like an investment. You already have it at your house, and then in a few weeks, you don't have to buy it. It's already there if you need a quick meal. Other things too that are on sale this week is their pasta, 5 for $5. So buying some whole grain pasta would be a good option. So you've looked at your list, you see what's on sale. And then what I typically will do is I'll think about what sounds good. So I see here that the cauliflower is on sale. And maybe you love to have cauliflower rice. And so from there then, you can decide, what do I want to have with my cauliflower rice? Well, there's chicken that's on sale this week as well. So I've now gotten my vegetable and my meat item. So I also think to myself that maybe there's a grain that I want to have with it. Maybe I want to put all of this on some noodles and add in some cheese to it. Well, you've almost then created an entire meal based off of the things that are on sale. So then what I like to do is I will take a piece of paper, a scratch piece of paper, and I will write down breakfast, lunch. I will write down every day of the week that I will need a meal. And I'll put breakfast, lunch, and supper for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe there's a day of the week that you guys always go out. Maybe it's Friday. So go ahead and put down Friday for supper, out to eat. And then maybe on Wednesday night, you know that you always go to church, so you run through and get something pretty quick. So you write down, like Wednesday night, going out. So have that written down so then you don't feel like you need to take into account what you're making. Other things too is when you look at what's on sale, sometimes I will get on Pinterest then, and I will Google, or I will put into Pinterest cauliflower recipes. And so from there then, I've taken what's on sale and I have found recipes for that. So then it's a little less work on me. And I just pick something that sounds good that Pinterest has given me. So that's another easy way to get recipes without actually having to really plan for it. And so once you have your recipes and you write down, okay, Monday we're gonna have cauliflower with pasta and broccoli and some chicken. So that could be a meal for 2 days. So maybe you double the recipe so that you know that you can take leftovers to work the next day or to work for 2 days, whatever is kind of the way you like it. And then you go ahead and you pick another recipe and plan enough recipes that you will have it all week long. I prefer to eat meals about 3 times so that then I don't have to cook as often. But if that doesn't work for you, maybe you need to cook 5 times a week because you have a bigger family. And that's just fine, but just realize that you'll have to plan those 4 or 5 meals. There may be days that you can eat the same thing over and over and over again. So maybe breakfast for you is something that you can eat the same thing every day. Maybe you have a glass of milk with a piece of fruit and a granola bar every morning for breakfast. That's fine. So then just knowing that you need to put that on your grocery list as well. So after you have your recipes, then the next step is to make that grocery list. Write down everything you're going to need from the grocery store so that then you don't have to go back. Because there's nothing worse than getting home and getting ready to make your recipe and realizing you have to go back to the store. That's normally when I try to figure out if I can do something without going back to the store. But just knowing that making that grocery list will be helpful, and it'll keep you from picking out poor food choices. Because if you're going off of your grocery list, you're going to be hopefully less likely to grab that extra bag of potato chips or go down the junk food aisle, the candy aisle, but rather trying to stay on the perimeter of the store for the most part. There's still going to be healthy areas that you can go down, like your canned foods, your grain aisle. Both of those are really good aisles to go down. I, this time of the year, love making soups that I can just dump into the crock pot. So going down the bean aisle or the canned vegetable aisle and picking out those low sodium options, the no salt added canned vegetables, make life really easy. And you can even get it with the pop top, and then you don't have to work at all. All you have to do is pop a top. But so then when you get home, you have to prepare your food. So how are we going to cook your food so that they are a better option? So take a second and kind of think about the ways that you typically prepare your foods. And some questions that I want you to ask yourself. Do you typically put a slab of butter on your meal? Are you pouring olive oil or any type of oil onto your food after you're finished cooking it? What do you pour in your pan before you cook it? Are you adding butter or Crisco or pouring in enough oil to grease the entire bottom of the pan? Are you breading your food before you cook it in oil? So thinking about those things, how often are you adding high fat to your foods? So those are ways. How often are you adding sugar to your foods? Are you having baked beans and then adding ketchup and barbecue sauce and then you're adding sugar on top of that? So you're trying to decrease those things, trying to decrease your sugar and trying to decrease the amount of fat that you're adding to your foods will also help you to cut back on your calories. So what would that look like? How can we make meals that are easier and healthier? One way I talked about is your dump meals, where you just dump everything into the crock pot, or maybe you just dump all of your soups into a stock pot. That's one really easy way to do it. Another easy way to have a healthy option meal, one of my favorites, is a sheet pan dinner. So you will have a quarter of your plate set aside, or a half of your sheet pan is going to be your vegetables. A quarter of your sheet pan is going to be either like a starchy vegetable or maybe you cook your grain on top of it in a pan. Then it's going to be 2 pans, but it's still less work. And then you're going to have part of your pan also being your protein. So one meal may be broccoli and asparagus, and you might have your potatoes in the middle, and then your chicken or pork chop on the side. And so all of that will go on your sheet pan. You'll stick that in the oven, you'll bake it. And the best part is while you're baking that, you can do something else. Maybe it's cleaning up the kitchen so then you have less work afterwards. Maybe it's putting away laundry, doing other things, stay moving, so that then you can get more work done, you stay moving and burning some extra calories. Other things that you can do to help make a healthier food choice is to cook in larger batches. So for me, I love soup. Soup is one of my favorite foods. I can eat it like half of the meals of the week. So what I do is I'll make a huge pot of soup that I know that I won't eat the whole thing, and I'll take half of it and put it in the freezer, so that if there's a week that comes up that I don't have time to cook a meal, I can just take that out of the freezer and then I've got a whole meal. But other things too is just cooking in a larger batch so that you do have leftovers. So then you don't get to work one day and you realize you don't have anything to eat, and your best option is running out to a fast food restaurant. So having those prepared and ready to go, making bigger batches. So maybe you do a sheet pan supper, but maybe you double it, so that then you and your husband or you and your spouse can both take leftovers to work the next day. Other things too, Instapots. Instapots are wonderful. They make food so fast, makes life a lot easier. And then cutting up fruits and veggies so you have healthy snacks that you can grab, or maybe that your kids can grab as well. If those are cut up and prepared, you're a lot more likely to eat them. And then lastly, too, using leftovers. So not just using the leftovers that you've already made, but maybe this week you bought a bell pepper and you only used half of it, and then you only used half of your onion. So taking those things and trying to incorporate those in another meal so your food isn't wasted and you're adding more vegetables to your meal. So maybe you have an extra pepper and an extra onion, trying to be creative and think of how you can incorporate those. So maybe you have a day on Saturday that you normally have eggs for breakfast. So add those peppers and onions to your eggs and make those taste, have a little bit more flavor to them, but also you've added more vegetables to them. So also today we are going to be attaching, in the video that I send out, I'm going to be attaching a meal plan, just a basic meal plan that people can use to help give you a better visual. And then I do encourage you to look over the shopping list. If it helps, you can break things down into like a veggie, a meat, a dairy, where they're going to be located at in the grocery store might help. I typically find that what works best for me is writing it all down in the order of the recipe. And then it takes a little bit more time in the store, but I know then I have everything for my recipe. On the participant guide, it also talks about different healthy preparations, as well as healthy options or like better options when you are preparing to go to the grocery store. So glance over your participant guide, and then I will also be attaching a meal plan and how to do a meal plan in the video when I send the link. So next week when you guys come, I want to see everybody's meal plans that they've made out, or their grocery list, something like that they've done. So let me see it. You'll get a point if you show me your meal plan. Remember, at the end of the 16 weeks, whoever has the most points will get a prize. So you want the prize? I'm just saying. Everybody likes to win. So that is it for this week. Remember to set a goal. Something specific and realistic and attainable. And that's all I've got for you guys this week. So have a great week, and I will see you again on Monday.